make it live on my end? Oh, we are live. Okay. So Ismail just gave me the signal. I think we are live. Oh, that's not the F5 key. Um, so, oh, yeah, okay. So, welcome guys to my workshop. We are going to discuss Android hacking, which is a very cool and interesting subject. Um, I think if you guys have been paying attention to, I hope you guys are alive. If you've been paying attention to the security related news lately, Android has been in the news a decent bit. Um, I think Android 11 is going to be rolled out soon with new security features. And recently, Checkpoint, a security company, got um, a malicious recon attack that has been going on for 6 years. It was called Rampant Kitten. So it's pretty fresh and interesting field. I hope you guys enjoy my talk. Um, we'll be having a live hack in this session as well, so hopefully we can have some fun there. So I'll just wait a little bit to wait on the latecomers because I myself am a big latecomer, so I relate to them very highly. Hello, Ismail. Hey, excellent. And Dot to you as well, Dot Respond. So how have you guys been doing lately? How has remote university life been treating you? Or remote work life, depending on what stage of life you're in. I don't think anyone's answering, so I'm going to assume that it's not that great. So I'm sorry to hear that. Let me know when I should start, because I think I'll start in a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes. And yeah. Give 5 minutes. Okay, that's a. Yeah, sure. We start at like 5:03 or 5. Sorry, not 5:03, 5:13 or something. Let me just double check a few things. I hope nothing goes wrong because, as I mentioned before, I'm doing a live hack. So, essentially, further into the stream, I'll be grabbing my own phone and showing you how people could hack into it via an application. So, I have one laptop to stream for you guys. I have another laptop to hack into my phone, and I have my phone. So I hope it all goes well because I'll be doing lots of screen sharing and it's a little messy. So I hope everything goes fine. I think we should start now. So, um, sorry for the wait and welcome to my workshop about Android security and malicious APKs, to be more specific. I Why is my thing not going? PPT doesn't work. That's odd. Okay, I have to click on it. I'm an idiot, so forgive me for that. I am Pranav Chachara. I am the ethical hacking director. It's quite a nice start off of Harry Potter Club. And let's start now. What are APKs basically? So essentially, APKs they stand for Android Package Kit. It's a file format for Android phones and devices that can help you distribute and install apps. So your WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, everything on your Android device is an APK file. So within an APK file, there are lots of elements that are required to run the application itself. So it's like kind of packed together, kind of like a compressed ball. So you can compare it to, like, let's say an exe file on Windows. That's what it's like basically, but for Android. Most APKs that you'll be downloading would be off of the Google Play Store or some other kind of Play Store. But there are many APKs that you can actually download off of the internet that could serve quite a decent purpose. But these are kind of dangerous as well, and we'll understand how and why. So let's go over first how APKs are made. Hello, Glimmer. Hi, Pierre. Hello, Amog. Let's go over how APKs are made. Because before we break anything or hack into something, we need to understand how it works. There are 5 major steps to consider when going about making your APK. The first one is setting up. You need to set up your workspace. So it's pretty basic. Just install Android Studio and just hit create your project, and you've basically started with your APK building. Then writing the app. This is a little heavy. This is, I think, the heavy work. It's writing the code, designing the UI, creating the resources, all the features, all that kind of stuff. The next one is building and running the app. So after you actually design your application, you have to build it and run it. So it's kind of like, for programmers out there, it's like compiling your code essentially. And after you then run it on an emulator, so you can test out if it works or not, which is the next step. It's iterating. You have to debug, profile, and test. You are essentially in a kind of loop of testing and fixing bugs over here, and that's just what this phase is. And the final stage, it's publishing your app, where your app just goes out into the free world and it is downloadable for everyone. Now, let's get into the fun bit, exploitation. How do we break this? So there are a few steps to consider. I think 8 steps to be more specific when exploiting an APK file. So the first thing is you want to find an APK file in the wild. So this is an APK file that's already been built, and you grab this APK file and you want to decompile it. What that essentially means is you want to break it down into these elements that I was talking about. You want to take that compressed ball and split it into all of its different bits and pieces of what it's made up of. It's like the reverse of publishing it in the last part I mentioned. Then after that, you want to generate and decompile the payload. So I'll be using some security terms over here. So payload is essentially the malicious code that we are trying to inject into the app to gain access over the phone. So what we want to do is first we'll make our payload. We'll make it such that we'll write code that says, hey, send a connection from this phone to my computer so that I can control it. And after writing this code, you want to decompile this as well so that you have the raw payload. Then you want to inject your payload. So you're taking the raw payload and you're injecting it into the APK files itself. Then change permissions and stub app. So excuse me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an Android developer. I've just kind of briefed over this, but I believe the stub app is actually the part of an APK file that monitors which code runs first, essentially. So we want to change the stub app. We want to be like, hey, if you're injecting a Google app, we'll be like, hey, don't run the Google code first. Run my payload first. Run the bad code first. Just forget about the Google code. That's what we're doing here. And we're essentially changing the permissions on the app. So we'll be like, that's what you always see, that annoying pop-up on your phone. It's like, oh, can I have access to your camera? Can I have access to your location? We're changing that, and we're asking for whatever is necessary for our attack. we then build our APK. So this is like the last step I mentioned, publishing your, like this is building your APK basically. You compile everything together into your APK file. Now you actually generate a key. So let me explain something about APK files over here, or apps in general. All apps have to be signed with a certain key / certificate. Now this certificate can be generated in many different ways. And for APK files, it's quite easy to generate something like this. But let's say for something like Apple actually uses something called an IPA file. It's similar to an APK, but it's actually quite hard to get your hands on a certificate for an Apple application. So I can't. It's a little hard to replicate this on iOS devices. Hooray for Apple! But that's what we do in this step is we make our certificate and we sign the application with the certificate. So it's like, okay, this is certified. Now this can be installed anywhere. Then we zip align the app. This is essentially, it's not necessary, but it's just to make the app more smaller, make it more efficient, just all that. It could help when you're trying to mask your attack by reducing the size. If you get a very large APK, like maybe like 100 MB, it'll be like, oh, this is what kind of app is this, But if it's like 10 MB, it's like, sorry, if it's like 10 MB, it's like, okay, this is something I can just download and keep it in the back of my phone. And the last part, which I consider personally the hardest, you have to send your APK and listen for the callback. And why I consider this the hardest is because there are so many methods you have to engineer many different ways to manage to get the application onto the victim's phone. Because Google has some security measures set up that if you were to ever download an APK off of the internet, they would any APK off of the internet, no matter what, even if it's a legitimate APK, Google will tell you, like, hey, something is up with this. This is weird. You're not supposed to be getting APKs off of the internet. You're to get it off of our Play Store. So you have to somehow manage to convince your victim that, hey, ignore all warnings Google gives you. Just like Google is stupid. Convince them. You just have to convince them. And I consider this very hard. This can be achieved through social engineering, which is my first workshop. I'll give a small shout out to myself. And since I have to stop being a little narcissistic and let's go on with the life hack. Okay, so I hope this works out. Let's see here. So what I have here is my laptop. It's my Kali laptop, and this is what I use primarily for cybersecurity. So let me just pull up my phone over here. Oh, that's being weird. I'm sorry for this. I really hoped it wouldn't just mess up, but it seems to be being very weird. Give me like 2 minutes. Okay, there we go. It works. Thank God. I really wanted to do this hack. Where did it go? Oh my God. Okay, it's back. Sorry. This whole screen sharing thing with the phone is extremely volatile. So excuse me if I make a few mistakes. So what I have here is I have this application that I have injected malicious code into, and I've basically just installed it fresh. And what we're going to do is we'll set up a listener. For the listener, we're going to be using Metasploit, which is an extremely useful tool. I highly suggest you guys look into it a bit more. So we've set an option we already set the exploit to a multi-handler, which means it can handle various payloads. And if you can see, we've set the payload to an Android reverse TCP, which is the payload we're using for the hack. So let's just set the L host, which is my local IP address of the machine. I think it's I believe, yeah. I hope this is it. And you can actually run it. And you can see that it started a handler on my local computer at this port. So it's listening for any connections that it gets on my computer right now. So I have my phone in hand and I'm going to hit the app, open the app. Now you can see I have tons of permissions that this app is asking for. It looks very suspicious. Like, why does Google Launcher want to be able to make phone calls? So, but trust me, this wouldn't happen in an actual hack, but this is a proof of concept. So I just included all the permissions I possibly could when I changed the app. So I'll just let this happen. And something popped up on the screen. You can see that we got a session. And we just leave my phone aside for now. And we just see what we can do on my laptop. Let's run help. We see tons of commands going on over here. So one of them is check root. So it checks if my phone is rooted. We can run that. It's not rooted. It's my day-to-day phone, so it's not really rooted. I'm too scared to root it, so I didn't bother. So you can see tons of commands over here. Let's try a few more. Let's see where we are. So this is a directory we're in on my phone. Let's go back to the main directory and we'll see. These are all the files on my phone. Now let's try to pull some files off of my phone. Remember, I'm doing this from my laptop via my phone. If I were a regular user, I would have no idea that this is happening on the other end. So let's see. Let's go into the SD card. Wait, let me just check if I have any questions. Oh, social dilemma vibes. Yeah, social dilemma vibes. I highly recommend watching Social Dilemma. It's an amazing series. And I'll actually talk about something similar to that. So just remind me this. I really want to talk about that. So I'm in my SD card right now, and we have really good permissions over here. These say that we have read and write permissions. So we can essentially read and write pretty much any file over here. So let's see. I think I have a download folder. I do have a download folder. Let's go into that. Okay, I've downloaded lots of stuff. Oh my god. Okay, so before I open up something weird, let's just quickly download this and let me show you guys that. There we go. And ls, and let me show you guys. I actually managed to pull it off of my phone. I'm not going to open it because I have no idea what it is. It might be something really weird, so let's just avoid that. Let me show you guys one more really cool thing. So if you go over here, you can see some webcam tools. And let's just list what webcams we can use. These are the cameras on my phone. So we have 2 back cameras, 2 front cameras. So let's try this out. So right now I'm opening up this on, actually Amog, this attack can be performed on devices across the world. I've tried this out. As long as you have the listener set up to some kind of tunnel like NG Rock, you can set it up anywhere. So that's why it's scary, because this could happen to anyone at all. I think my phone's just being weird. Yeah, sorry, it disconnected. That happens sometimes. So I'm going to do something really cool right now. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to put some smileys in the chat, because I'm going to take a photo of you guys via my laptop from my phone. So let me just get the command real quick. It's I1, I believe. Back camera, yeah. So can I get some smileys in the chat, please, guys? Are you guys? There's probably a bit of delay. So let me just make it so that, and I'm holding up my phone over here. So I'll take a couple of pictures so that I can show you guys how scary this is. I'm just gonna put a smiley by myself because I don't really see anything going on. Oh. Thank you, Basir. Oh, lots of smileys now. Let me try and starting my webcam. Okay, so I probably took a very terrible picture. Let me try a couple. And I grabbed 2 pictures. I hope they came out well. So as you can see over here, I did save some pictures, but nothing came up on the phone at all. There was absolutely no indication that the camera was being used, which is kind of scary if you guys think about it. It's like your phone could be doing whatever in the background as long as it has these permissions. And let me see what I got. Okay, it's a horrible picture because I can't take pictures for the life of me, but you can make out your smileys. And let me see what the other picture is like. They'll come out better. Yeah, it came out better. So we got a few people smiling in chat, which is kind of wholesome. So thank you guys for that. And that concludes the life hack. So you can see how absolutely scary this can be, because if you actually look into the permissions over here, you could find things like installing different apps, listing all the apps you have on your phone, geolocating your phone. I believe, yeah, you could geolocate the exact position of your phone. All kinds of scary stuff. So let's not dive too deep into this. I might get into some weird kind of trouble. But thank you for the live session. So uh, I set up a pre-recorded hack just in case the live one failed, but the live one went well.
Hey guys.
Oh, so I can just skip it. So I actually want to talk about prevention because this is very scary, and you want to keep yourself really safe, right, from all of this kind of stuff. So let's go over prevention now. But before that, Amor mentioned something very cool to me that I want to talk about. Is this for Apple boasts privacy? Yeah, actually, I've personally tried to do the same attack on Apple, and it was so hard. I cannot tell you, because it's just so hard to get your hands on the certificate. You have to be an Apple developer, which is like it's like maybe $100 a year or something. I'm not paying for that. So I did it on Android instead. But Apple is much more secure than Android when it comes to this. At least it was so much more harder to even try to do this on an Apple phone. So yeah, before I get off track completely, I want to talk about what Amok said. For those of you who haven't seen Social Dilemma, essentially something very scary happened recently in in news. If you guys have been following the security news, Facebook is actually someone filed a lawsuit against Facebook for they said that Instagram is using their cameras when it's not permitted to. Like they are not taking any photos, they're not taking any videos, no stories, nothing. But Instagram is still using the camera. I think this came to light when Apple introduced a feature that shows you when your camera is in use. And Instagram users were like, hey, why is Instagram using my camera when I'm not taking a photo? Like, I'm just scrolling through my feed. Why is it using my camera? Facebook said this is a glitch on our end. But I think about yesterday or day before, someone filed a lawsuit against them. So just think about what I showed you guys. Since I gave myself camera permissions, I could use my camera anytime I wanted as long as the app was open and there was no indication. So that's extremely scary because if you don't have to even think about what a hacker would do to you. Just think about what kind of access you are giving to any application that you are letting use your camera. Instagram, WhatsApp, anything. So it's just a thought. You could just think about this. I don't want to imply anything. So before we get to before we dive into conspiracy theories, let's go over prevention. Now, I think some of you might be a little scared after this. It's kind of scary. At least I was very scared when I found out about this. But there are a few ways to actually discover these kinds of malicious applications. The first one is VirusTotal. Now, VirusTotal is essentially a site that it's like an online tool that you can use to scan files for any kind of malicious code. So not just APK files, exe files, IPA files, any kind of file you can think about, you can scan it on VirusTotal. And I think what it does is it emulates the app on various antivirus scanners or something of the sort. And what it does is for each app, it generates a hash. So this is the app that I used. This is the base app that I downloaded. It was the Google Launcher app. And for when I use this app, I scanned it on VirusTotal. It makes sense, there's nothing wrong with this app, so didn't find anything on the app at all. It's just a regular APK app. And you can see that it has a hash as well along with that so that it can be identified really quickly. So what I did after this is I scanned my payload. So essentially the bad code, just the bad code. I scanned it and it showed me that it got detected on 28 engines. That makes sense. It's pretty obvious that it's a bad code. I didn't really try to hide it in any form. Now, let me try hiding it. I hid it inside the Google app and only 16 engines. I think about half, around half. We can say an estimate of half detected that there's something wrong with the app. So that's kind of scary because injecting, doing this whole process, it was not difficult at all. It was frankly very easy. There are so many tools online that can make this very, very simple to do. I don't want to mention them because it's weird stuff. But this is very scary because I was thinking, what if I were actually to take the time to learn how APKs work, like fully learn how APKs work, and do my best to hide the malicious code? Like, it would be so hard to discover something like this. Something like this actually came about in the news pretty recently, I think maybe today or yesterday. Checkpoint Solutions, which is a cybersecurity company, actually uncovered an attack that they had dubbed as rampant kittens. So it's a lot scarier than just angry kittens. It's I think a group of hackers had been doing reconnaissance on, I don't remember the number, but I think maybe quite a few people for over 6 years. On Android phones, on Windows phones, they were disguised as, on Windows it was disguised as a Word document, on Android it was disguised as an APK. So for 6 years they had gone undetected from 2014 onwards. That is extremely scary because an application on your phone, just taking screenshots, pulling out your messages, your everything you think is secure, it's just been doing that in the background for 6 years. So I think I'm getting very pessimistic here. So if you guys are downloading APKs off of the internet, make sure you run it through VirusTotal before you install it, because most malicious APKs won't be like Rampant Kitten or something. They won't be that high level. They'll be kind of easier to find. So if you find something wrong with it, just avoid downloading it. Now, I want to go over a project that is more closer to home. It is Aston App Analyzer. So it is a very interesting project. It was actually developed by Mr. Ali and Professor Hani at our Hereford University. This essentially employs machine learning and AI to identify malicious code within applications. So that means that given enough time, this project could be better at analyzing malicious code in applications, better than VirusTotal, given enough data and time. So I think this was really cool. It was a very cool implementation of machine learning and cybersecurity, so I wanted to talk about it and mention it. And that gets us to the end. So to summarize, basically, just don't download unknown APKs off of the internet. If you really, really have to, I get it. Yeah, I do it a lot as well. If you really have to, make sure you have some reference that it's a good APK file, and make sure you run it through virus scanners to ensure that you and your data are safe. So, do we have any questions that I could answer? I don't think there are any questions. If you guys do have any questions that come up later on, you can find me on these two mails. Mail me wherever you want amongst both of them, but I respond more to my Hereford email rather than my TechHub email. But I will respond 100% to both any queries I get from either of them. Thank you so much, Amok. Thank you for coming. And thank you all for sitting through my stream. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And I hope you and your data are all safe after this. Just a little bit. These are the credits for everything that I've used. Pretty cool open source stuff. And again, thank you for attending my stream, and have a good day, everyone.